Okay. Mansoor, ask Mansoor to join back. He lost connection. Hmm? Okay. So ask Mansoor lost connection. Ask him to join back. Due to some privacy settings, it can happen. Ask him to join back. Any of your friends here. Huh? Okay. This is epilepsy part 2. Okay. Now, in the last class, I discussed about epilepsy, its classification, that is focal onset, generalized onset, in focal onset with or without impaired level of awareness, and motor and non-motor epilepsies. Such things I discussed with respect to focal. In generalized epilepsy, we discussed tonic clonic, myoclonic. Then we discussed about typical, atypical absence, typical absence. These things were discussed in the last class. These terms, now when I start solving the MCQs, you may find it a bit difficult. But anyway, as and when you get doubts, please ask me. Please ask me. And the recording of the last class is available, and you can definitely go and check it out. Fine? Okay, can you hear me now? Shall I go ahead?
Yes,
Students.
sir.
Okay. So the when the patient is having seizures, then the question comes to treat. As I told you, seizure is not equivalent to epilepsy. Epilepsy is repeated seizures. You should get repeated seizures. And anybody, most of us can develop one episode of seizure in our lifetime. That doesn't mean that that patient needs treatment for long period, like years together, 1 to 5 years. That appears a bit irrelevant. Only if the patient is getting repeated seizures, then the question comes, should we give him tablets to prevent seizures? Fine. Okay, that is treatment of epilepsy. Now, so when you think of treating seizures, we need to know what are the risk factors for repeated seizures. Okay, if the patient is having risk factors for repeated seizures, then there is a need for treating it. Okay, so the risk factors are recurrent seizures. That's what. So one is if there is an associated neurological abnormality, be it like some neurodeficit, some cerebral palsy, or a tumor causing its pressures and effects on all those things, then it needs to be treated with anti-epileptic drugs. Okay, that is something. Okay then. And if the patient is presented with status epilepticus, okay, if the patient is presented to you with status epilepticus, then he needs to be treated for prolonged period, maybe 1 to 5 years, depending upon how he responds to treatment. The treat, it follows. We'll come to that. I'll discuss about status epilepsy also. That also. Now, following seizure, if the patient develops paralysis, that is called as, that is temporary paralysis, then it is called TOTS paralysis. If that is there, then patients needs anti-epileptic drugs for recurrence. And if the strong family history of seizures is there, then also. And if there is a abnormal EEG, okay, if the patient has got after the seizures, I'm telling about, not during seizures, patient has come to you after seizures. During that time, you refer to a neurologist. He does EEG, and if that EEG is showing abnormality, then patients need to be put on anti-epileptic drugs. These are the risk factors for giving recurrent seizure. I mean, so if there is a recurrent seizure risk factor is there, then patient needs anti-epileptic drugs. Okay. Now, what are the anti-epileptic drugs available to us? So we have, this is the table which I have taken from Harrison. Okay, this table is from Harrison. So the first most common type of seizure what you see is generalized tonic-clonic. Generalized tonic-clonic. If that is the case, the first drug of choice is lamotrigine and valproic acid. These two drugs. Okay, these two drugs are the drugs of first line for a patient who has come to you with generalized onset, not focal, generalized onset tonic-clonic seizures. Okay. Now, then alternatives. There are alternatives, of course, or add-on alternatives. We can give junosamide. Look at this phenytoin. The usual drug, now it has become a second line drug, not the first line drug. Because these available of these new drugs, this has come to second line. That's why the patients, if there is an MCQ which is asking you the drug of choice, something like that, is related to general chronic clinic scissors, pick up these two, not this one. Hmm? Your old teachers may tell this phenytoin, but this is a drug. Hmm? Okay. Okay, phenytoin, levetiracetam, carbamazepine, oxycarbazine, topiramate, phenobarbital. This is the one drug. I think so. Those students who are coming from Kim Subli, he has a house surgeon. If you have worked, you must have seen. Still, we prescribe phenobarbital for our and chronic scissors here because cost. It's a question of cost. Phenobarbital is a very cheap drug. That's how that is still given in government hospitals. But the evidence is in favor of these new drugs. You should know that at least valproic acid. Hmm? I think so. Valproic acid may be available now in Kim's OPD. Hmm? Okay, I have got disconnected with Kim's medicine OPD. Hmm? Okay, then we'll go to focal scissors. One thing you should know, compared to generalized tonic scissors, focal scissors are a bit difficult to treat. They don't respond that well. Of course, you should know that. So for focal scissors, of course, there is a lamotrigine is a best drug. Then you have got carbamazepine, oxycarbazine, and phenytoin here, and levetiracetam. Levetiracetam is also there. So then for typical absent scissors, what is typical absent scissors? Can anybody answer the question? Those people who attend my last class, I would expect them to utter at least one or two words on typical absence. Vandana,
So mostly seen among infants,
not infant children. Okay,
children.
and school going children. Then they are
Mm,
absent minded for few seconds, 10 to 15 seconds. Patient or students now in the class. Imagine a student, a teacher of a math or science teacher of second or third student is there in the first or second bench. He will be looking at the teacher for a few seconds. Teacher will be scolding him or praising him, but still he will look at for a few seconds. Then he will be out of his world. He'll come back. And teacher may really get irritated. Why this guy is looking at just like that without answering. Hmm? So it happens, it sudden in onset, suddenly it disappears. Convulsion, there is a little movement of the uh, eyelids, little bit movement of the lips, little movement. There will not be lot of convulsive clonic movements. Little movement is there in typical absence. So it is a very short-lived and little motor component. Uh, if patient goes into scissors, comes back immediately, and the child would not know that he had scissor. And such episodes can happen 100 times per day. It can happen. Imagine it can keep recurring. Whereas this atypical absence is there is a good gross clonic movement here. You can see nice twitching of the muscle on that. It is a longer lived, more than few seconds. It is slow in onset, slow in disappearance. Following a typical seasons, there could be loss of post-ictal confusion can be there. Whereas in typical absence, there is no post-ictal confusion, nothing. Patient is fine immediately. That's the difference between these two. And this atypical absence is hard to treat because it is associated with many diseases of the brain, neurological, structural diseases of the brain. Whereas a typical absence is not associated with the structural disease of the brain. That's what you should know. Okay. And we are myoclonic jerks. What are myoclonic jerks? There is an MCQ on that. I'll go further detail. Like so, you know that generalized onset there is a tonic and clonic. That means there are two things. There is tonic, there is more clonic. Okay, so tonic means patient has continuous increased muscle tone. All the body muscles will become tonic. Patient will even laryngeal spasm will happen. Patient will not be able to breathe. The respiratory muscles will not relax. They just go into spasm, complete spasm. And this during tonic phase of generalized tonic phase, patient may develop cyanosis. Okay, they may develop cyanosis. Whereas in syncope, they develop pallor. That's how a patient of syncope can also develop few clonic movements. You will fall down. Okay, you will have a clinically a difficult time to differentiate a tonic-clonic seizure from a syncope. The best way would be if the patient shows a pallor, it is a syncope. If the patient had cyanosis, it could be generalized tonic-clonic seizure. That is one way of differentiating clinically. Now, what I was interested is this clonic phase. What I told you, it is a all muscles are spasmodic. The spasm, they don't relax. So laryngeal spasm, they cry out. Muscle, respiratory muscle spasm, cyanosis, all muscle tone will increase. And tone can be so high, they can break their own bones. We have seen shoulder dislocation, humerus head fracture, femoral head fracture. This such a severe muscle spasm can happen. They can break their own bones. That's why a patient of generalized tonic-clonic seizure never ever try to hold any of his limb. Allow him to convulsate because you cannot stop his convulsions by pressing. If you press, you'll break his bones. Okay, never. He may at least tear his tendons. Okay, allow him to convulse. That's all you can do. Don't put your finger in his mouth and get your finger bitten. Never try to push anything in his mouth. Some people try to put handkerchief there to prevent a tongue bite and all that. They will choke him and allow him to die. Never put anything in patient's mouth. There is MCQ on that. That's what I'm telling you. Now, when this tonic phase passes out, the patient then goes into clonic phase. Here, actually, clonic phase means sustained contraction. Okay, clonic phase is actually in between relaxation. It is actually okay. Contraction, relaxation, contraction, relaxation, contraction, relaxation. That sort is clonic phase. So clonic phase is superimposed relaxation over the tonic phase is clonic. Okay, huh? That's what. Then patient goes into post-ictal state. That is tonic-clonic convulsions. You just see my previous class. This I have explained more in detail so that you can understand. Now, here you can see atonic. That means here what happens is patient develops loss of tone of all the muscles. So there is a some amount of tone, muscle tone. You check it now in when you're examining upper motor neuron versus lower motor neuron. You check the tone of the muscles by passively flexing the limbs. You do it in clinical methods. I feel that you people might have not done because of COVID. What we do is we in clinical methods we all ask the patient to keep his limb relaxed and flex his upper limb, lower limb, and see what is the actual tone. In upper motor neuron lesions, the tone is increased, whereas in lower motor neuron, tone decrease. That's how we check tone. Now, here there is a seizure which is called as atonic seizure, which means the patient's tone would disappear for a brief period. Brief period. It will not be so severe that patient falls. It will be so brief that just patient may lose head control. He'll fall from time, immediately come up. Most of the times, atonic seizures don't make patient to fall down because it's a very short lived. Okay, that's what about these seizures now. Atypical absence, myoclonic absence. Just I told you, this all I discussed most in detail in the last class. You can see in the YouTube there. Now, as here also the drug of choice is valproic acid, lamotrigine, and topiramate. These are drugs. Now we'll go to MCQs. Here also I'll explain the more detail about the conversions and all that. Okay. A 16-year-old girl was on anti-epileptic for treatment of focal seizure. Now this is a patient who has got a focal onset. It is actually correct word would be focal onset. That is the correct scientific word. Anyway, treatment of focal seizures episodes while sleep. She is getting it in sleep. She has had no seizure for 6 months. No seizure for 6 months now. And non-contrast computer tomography. That's what NCCT means. Non-contrast computer tomography and EEG are normal. Hmm? What is the further management? What you want to do for a stop treatment, continue for 2 years, lifelong treatment, stop treatment, and follow up for 6 months, easy, monthly easy. What do you suggest for this child? Students, I don't mind you attempt. Huh?
Continue for two
What?
years.
Shirisha?
Sir, continue for 2 years
Yeah,
at
Digambar
home.
is telling also 2 years. Good. Hmm. If you
Yes,
cannot
sir.
speak now, you can definitely. There have got many people have got internet issues. You chat. I'll come back and see. Huh? Okay. So as you people are telling, continue for 2 years. Why you say it is continue for 2 years? Tell me.
Sir, one of our friend is taking that one, sir. He is taking that Torex something, sir.
What?
Uh, sir, let me see, sir.
See now slide. You can see the slides.
Forward.
So others also attempt now. Others attempt. Deepika, Yadgiri, Mohan, Kirtana, attempt the question. Livoro, Digambar, Livoro, what? See, this patient is 16 years old. Now, before a patient, this patient appears that she is doing well with the treatment. At least that much all of you are agreeing now. Now, this patient has been on treatment with focal scissor. She is doing well for last 6 months now. And the examination, what you are doing, it is fine now. Let us see when you think of stopping treatment, because a good patient who is improving, definitely there is a need for stopping the drugs, but there are some guidelines for that. Okay, we'll see that. Next slide. What is the scissor type in this case? Is it focal or general? This case is a focal type. As I told you, the focal type of scissor is bit harder to treat compared to generalized scissors. So that is something which is bothering us now in this case. So that is something which makes us think to be cautious in treating this case, because if the patient was generalized tonic clonic scissor, it is bit easier to treat. They respond much more better than the focal scissors. This is something which you should think. Okay, focal scissors are bit harder to treat. This patient has got focal scissors. Okay, this is a negative point. Is it single type or multiple type? This patient. Okay, what is it?
Single.
Yeah, single. The available information suggests it is a single type. They are not mentioned macronas, this, that, nothing they have mentioned. Will conclude it as single type. Yeah, this is something good. If the patient has got single type of seizures, then we can think of stopping treatment, of course, with given way. There is a way to do it. Okay, you can think of doing it. Okay, is there a family history? It is not mentioned here. So we'll presume
No.
it. There is no family history. Hmm? Okay, if at all, in MCQ, expect at least positive history should be there. If they don't mention, presume it is not there. Okay, this arrow is wrong. Then EEG is normal here. That is something good. This patient EEG is normal. So this are telling us stop the treatment. Hmm? This also doesn't mean that you stop. Be cautious here. Hmm? This one, okay. So these things are making us to think now. So the indication to withdraw anti-epileptic drugs, what are there? Complete medical control. Yeah, 1 to 5 years it should be there. This patient has got good control. Complete medical control is there. Single scissor type with general scissors having a better prognosis than the focal scissor. Yeah, this single scissor, but only this is a question in that case. Okay. Normal neurological examination including intelligence. Okay. Normal it is. No family history of epilepsy. Normally easy. So these we can think of stopping treatment. But when, how, wow, when to do it? Now, immediately we can't think, because if you stop it immediately, there could be resurgence of
Rebound.
conversions. Yeah, withdrawal effect can be there. Withdrawal, that is dangerous. Continue for 2 years. Okay, that is one thing. Lifelong, I won't, because patient is doing well. Okay, this is definitely out. This is also out. This is also out. Now, stop treatment and follow up for 6 months with monthly ECG. Yeah, here also is asking a stop treatment. No, if at all, slow down. Would could have been thought of, but that is not told here. So the would be, this is the best available choice. After 2 years, withdraw slowly over 6 months. Okay, withdraw slowly over 6 months. That is a correct one in this case. You understood, students?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
These are the pattern of questions they are asking. They are going more applied now. This needs to be thought more like a clinician when you are solving. A man falls in front of the liquor shop and becomes unconscious now. In front of the liquor shop, he has fallen down. That is the one thing we should keep in mind. And becomes unconscious. Yeah. We have seen such people, many, a lot, many have na. Lot, many unconscious, drunkard, falling down here and there in bus stand. We have seen a lot of them. On admission, he has a fast pulse, feeble respiratory events, and slurring of speech. He is kept on observation overnight, and when he wakes up, he is normal but could not recall the events. This is wrong. Events of previous night. What is the likely explanation? Tell me, what do you think? This guy, he has fallen down in front of the liquor shop. That means he has drunk. Do you agree? Huh? How many of you don't agree that he has not drunk? Tell me now. External injury. Digambara. External injury thinking. Okay, we'll come to that. Now, how many of you think he has drunk or not drunk? See, there is one proverb in Kannada. If you drink below a ichal gida, then even if you drink milk, still the people say you are drunk liquor. Got it? What is it? Okay, there's a proverb, and that applies to this patient here, because he has fallen in front of the liquor shop. I will take him granted that he is drunk. Okay, okay. There is a proverb in Kannada. It is there. Must be there in all languages also. I really don't know. If somebody is drinking even milk below a tree which from which they make liquor, you conclude him he is drinking alcohol only. That's what that proverb goes. So if the person has fallen down in front of a liquor shop, he has drunk. That's all. Okay. On admission, he has a fast pulse, feeble respiratory movement, slurring of speech. Okay. So what do you think? One thing, this guy, he kept our observe overnight, and when he wakes up, he is normal here, but could not recall the events. That's all. So normal bad means that only means that he was drunk. Or first, let us see. Is it epilepsy or concussion or drunkenness or diffuse? Are you suspecting epilepsy in him? Because if the patient has got epilepsy, they will recover in half an hour after that. Okay, if patient are fit, half an hour to 1 hour, they will recover, and at least they'll make some movements, but they'll not sleep like this and get up in the morning. Okay, nobody who is having epilepsy will wake up in the next morning comfortably like that. They will have some course, at least status update like picture, or they'll get up in half an hour, 50 minutes after the convulsions. Those all things will be there. But that is not the case in this case, in this patient. He has woken up next day morning. He has completely woken up. So this is unlikely. Then drunkenness. I'll come to this. What is this concussion? Are the alcoholics prone for head injury? Yes, somebody can hit him and go. Nah? That's possible. Some vehicle can hit him and go. Concussion. Now, how is a concussion? Then somebody was answered like diffuse axonal injury. This is a very grave thing, and the patient won't wake up next day morning like this. They will have a lot of problems. Axonal injury is very lot of problems. They may take some more time to wake up, and after that they will have a very catastrophic course of long admissions in the hospital. They may sometimes may not injure recover only. May not recover also. This is a grave thing. This is unlikely because the patient has improved. So the choices would be in between these two, drunkenness and concussion. What is concussion? Students, tell me what is concussion. Can anybody tell me what is concussion? Concussion, yeah, I have a slide. At least read this now. Concussion means the patient is an injury to the head where the patient loses consciousness, but that is for a short time, less than 30 minutes, maybe even few seconds a minute. Okay, they won't like overnight. It won't be. This patient has slept overnight comfortably in the hospital bed. Unlikely. Altered level of consciousness less than 24 hours. Usually less than 30 minutes. Okay, that is unlikely. Again, post-traumatic amnesia less than 24 hours. Usually 30 minutes. That means he would not remember the event of fall, how he fell down, who hit him, those things they may not remember. But this guy has forgotten everything from the evening. These drunkards, they would have forgotten how when they left their home and went for drinking alcohol. That much they can forget. And whole night everything they would have forgotten. But concussion, only the very short time they'll forget, not long. Glasgow Coma Scale is good, 13 to 14. This patient is actually more than losing consciousness. He has slept comfortably in the hospital casualty bed there and got up in the next morning. The way he is. No, this is the question. Okay. This patient has slept there and got up. Okay. Then focal neurological signs, no, none are transient. There will not be, even in this case, it's not a neuroimaging will be normal. In concussion, neuroimaging will be normal, whereas in diffuse axonal injury, it will be abnormal. Okay. Somebody is trying to join, I'll admit him. Okay. Now, a 25-year-old epileptic patient is on levetiracetam, 1000 mg twice daily for 2 years. He started to develop anger, aggressive behavior as an intolerable side effect, which is affecting his quality of life. What is the next step in the management of this patient? Now the first choice should be the gradually taper levetiracetam over 6 months. You want to taper it, stop it immediately, continue same dose for 5 years, stop the drug, initiate alternative anti-epileptic drug. Which of them you want to choose in this case? Anybody
Taper
want
the
to
drug
answer?
also.
Fourth
Option one.
option. Fourth option.
First option.
So many are answering. Yeah, I really missed it. Oh, okay, good. So Sidhu Holi, fourth option, gradually taper. Suku Bhai, due to injury, temporary amnesia. That is previous choice. Okay. I was okay. Then I should open this more. Okay, GTC.
Option 1, sir.
Fourth option is what is the fourth? Somebody is telling gradual taper. And what is it? Tell me.
Sir, I'm confused between first and fourth option. So I feel it's first option. I'm
Who?
not sure.
First option. No, no. I'll answer the question. I am encouraging students to answer. Answer is anyway written. You will give it. Okay, you are confused between first and fourth option. How did you rule out the other two? At least tell me, because I want everybody to understand. Okay. So
Withdrawal,
how do you approach? Huh?
so withdrawal symptoms if we stop immediately.
Yeah, that means second drug is second choice is out. Stop it. Stop levetiracetam. You get that mess of withdrawal. Good, very good. Continue for same dose for 5 years. Doesn't look sensible. This patient is having side effects. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Huh? So
Yes,
the
sir.
way you have chosen these two are wrong. Huh? Is good. Now you are left with this one and this one now. Gradually taper levetiracetam over 6 months. Okay? Or stop the drug, initiate alternate drug. Even also here they are asking you to stop the drug. That means immediate. That is also not correct. Okay? Stopping the drug is more risky suddenly. Okay? Then initiating another drug. Wiser would go taper. 6 months slowly and see what happens. Of course, you may, if required, add one more drug. Got my point? The main theme of this question is when a patient on anti-epileptic develops some side effects, unless it is a idiosyncratic reaction like Steven Johnson or some major thing, don't stop them suddenly. If the patient has developed like Steven Johnson syndrome, some catastrophe, you could taper them slowly. Okay, taper them slowly because you can have a much more messy withdrawal. That's what is the whole theme of this question is. Now let us study levetiracetam. Okay, the myoclonic seizures. These are the drugs where it is used. Myoclonic focal onset, primary generalized tonic-clonic, which I told you. I think so. This is second line drug here for this. Anybody trying to join? No, fine. So side effects of levetiracetam. See, there's a good number. 13% of them will develop adults and 37 in children. Suicidal ideation, irritability, aggressive behavior. These are all the side effects of levetiracetam. Serious dermatological reactions, Steven Johnson syndrome. These things are there. Then you will have to really think of kicking the drug out fast because you are going to kill him. Keep trying. Okay, these irritability, aggressive behavior, you can afford to taper and stop. Fine. Hematological abnormalities. Maybe even here also you have to think twice before, like agranosanosis, pancytopenia. They are there. Then also they are more serious. Renal impairment. Use them cautiously. Anaphylaxis, angioedema. Also stop. So this patient has got this. Okay, taper. So because of this, it is taper. Even this could be dangerous, but this I think so you can taper. Got it? That's how the question has to approached. Huh? You understood now the logic behind the question?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. Now, basically, in clinical medicine, it is you need to know the balance of taking a judgment. It is how you judge a case. The patient has come to you with some complication is there. Then you are giving some drug that also can cause some side effects. Now we need to know the way the benefit and risk. Then take a call. That's what this whole medicine is all about. Hmm? Hmm? Negative myoclonus is seen in where hepatic encephalopathy, variant CZD, Jan's syndrome, Salam syndrome. What is myoclonus? Answer na, at least type out. If you are not getting internet is the issue. Make 1, 1, 2, 4. You can write. Typing 1, 2 is not a big thing. I want you people to be engaged with the jerky movements of the muscles. Good. Jerky movements of the muscles is myoclonus. Good. Then anybody even more better answer for the myoclonus? Otherwise, it will be boring for you people if you don't discuss. Okay, I will answer. Anyway, I have said on that. Myoclonus is a brief, involuntary, irregular, lacking rhythm. A tonic-clonic, there is sort of a rhythm here. Okay? Tonic-clonic, there is a rhythm. But this is irregular. There is no rhythm here. Twitching, different from clonus. That's what. Say twitching, different from clonus. Which is rhythmic and regular. That's what I'm telling you. Myoclonus doesn't have rhythm. Whereas clonic movements do have rhythm. That rhythm is not there in myoclonus. Of a muscle or group of muscles. So it is lacking rhythm, twitching muscles like that. Erratic, irregular pulse. You must have heard that lot of times in what your teacher is telling you. Something like that. Synonymous to that is myoclonus, whereas regular pulse is synonymous to clonic movement. Something like that. You can think for sake of remembering. Now, that's about myoclonus, which doesn't have rhythm. Now, what are the types? There are some types they have made it. I think so. They did it, and you have got to remember. That's all. Action myoclonus occurs with a voluntary movement. It can happen with a voluntary movements. Reflex or subtle myoclonus occurs with the external stimulus or noise like. This is the negative myoclonus occurs in terms with the excess of flapping tremor, which is hepatic encephalopathy. You got this negative myoclonus. That is a question now. Then hypnagogic jerks. When you're sleeping now, you may get this during NREMC. Myoclonus. Benign myoclonus you can get now. These are hypnagogic jerks. So the question here is negative myoclonus is metabolic.
Hepatic encephalopathy.
Yeah, good. Hepatic encephalopathy. Good. Which of the following is associated with the mesial temporal lobe syndrome? History of febrile seizures, hypothyroidism, neurofibromatosis, recurrent oral ulcerations. Recurrent oral ulcerations. What is it? Any answers? You can. What is this? A mesial temporal lobe syndrome? I told you in the last class. How many of you remember? Just tell me. Mesial lobe syndrome. Did I tell you? Last. I discussed this in the last class. See, the medial side of the cerebrum, corticals, there is the hippocampus. This hippocampus, there is sclerosis, and that will cause focal convulsions. Okay, focal onset convulsions. That's what is mesial lobe syndrome is all about. There could be multiple types of convulsions. It could be absence, tonic, myoclonus, and all those things. Many are there. That's what is a mesial lobe. I'll just show the diagram here. Mesial lobe means this is a coronal section of the cerebrum. Okay. Coronal section. That this one, what you say? Hypothalamus comes here. There's sclerosis here. This sclerosis will lead to mesial temporal lobe syndrome. So this is usually associated with actually this is the correct answer, febrile convulsions. That means if these patients who have got a mesial lobe syndrome, if they get fever, they throw convulsions. That's what they're telling you. Of course, there is a benign febrile seizures also there. That is not related to this. But mesial temporal lobe sclerosis patients, if they get fever, they're prone to develop convulsions at that point of time. Hmm? This is also with this actually. Hmm? So mesial lobe tendinous epilepsy is associated with the lower threshold for seizures with the febrile illness. That's all. These patients have a impairment of perception, attention, emotion, memory, and execution of function during. This I got. This basically the temporal lobe and the mesial part is associated with the memory, memory, emotion, and all these things. That's why that is the problem in these patients. These people, as it is a focal seizure, focal onset seizure, this mesial temporal epilepsy, there is a aura, good aura. Unlike a generalized tonic onset seizures, the aura is a not very clear. There is a like a prodrome is there in a generalized onset. In a generalized onset, you get a prodrome, which is more long oriented, whereas in a focal onset, you may get aura, similar to migraine. You can get here, aura, like staring. The pain will be in that point of time, they'll be staring at you. And when they go into ictal phase, they show automatism. What are the automatisms? Lip smacking, chewing movement, swallowing, huh? Then twitching of the muscle somewhere. These are all the automatisms they can show up. And there is a post-ictal disorientation here in this case. MRI there shows hippocampal sclerosis. This are discussed even in more detail in the previous class. You can just go there and see also. A 35-year-old patient recalls episodes of where he smells pungent odor. Now this patient is telling pungent odor. Becomes sweaty and loses consciousness now. So he was complaining means he was conscious. Okay. Now he loses conscious later. Okay. His family members say while unconscious he was having facial twitching, lip smacking movements. What is the diagnosis? There is a, what is this? This is aura actually. Then aura is followed by ictal phase of loss of consciousness with these automatisms, facial twitching and lip smacking. So what is it now? Answer.
Focal.
Yeah, focal.
Focal
That's good choice. How many of you are thinking focal? Sukubai thinks it is focal. Then anybody?
It's a focal seizure. I am also.
What about Raju? You want to answer? Take a wild guess. What is wrong in that? Bhavya, Kirtana, Vandana.
Should I answer focal?
You want to think? Everybody wants to go for focal. Anybody don't want to say it is focal? Yeah, it is focal only. Good. It is focal seizures. Actually, I gave it the answer there because here see, this patient is giving this aura. That means before the ictal phase, there is a aura here. During the ictal phase, there is a loss of consciousness. So it is pre-ictal aura of smell. Fine. Ictal loss of consciousness with what? This facial twitching and all that. Automatism. Automatism is there. So this all suggests in terms of focal seizures. Okay. This is a case of focal seizures. Hysteria is there. Atonic seizure, myoclonic seizure. Myoclonus means what is it? It is unlike like this now. They don't get actually. Myoclonic seizure is generalized onset seizure. It is okay. Atonic is also generalized onset seizure. Hysteria is hysteria. Focal is focal onset. Because there is a good aura, I would go for this. Okay. And automatism, of course. Aura with automatism. So, pungent odor that patient complains is aura. He is losing conscious, focal onset seizures with impaired conscious. There is a entity. Focal onset seizures could be without impaired awareness and with impaired, there may not be awareness which is lost. Yeah, the awareness could be preserved. That's all. Focal onset could be two types. And chewing, lip smacking, swallowing, all these things are what? Automatisms. Actually, now focal onset seizures with impaired awareness was in the past called as complex partial seizures. Okay, so focal onset, sorry, I'll put this focal seizures with impaired consciousness was in the past called as complex partial seizures, and with the consciousness preserved, it was called simple partial seizures. That was the previous terms. Now in 2017, they have removed all these things and they made it very simple classification. Actually, they helped a lot of students. It has become very simple to remember now. Focal onset with impaired consciousness is actually this patient is suffering from. In the past terminology, it becomes complex partial seizures. Lennox-Gastaut syndrome is characterized by single seizure type, atypical febrile seizure, good prognosis with adequate control, EEG showing less than 3 Hz spike with the wave discharge. This is
Option 4.
something about her, huh? What's Shirisha? You said something.
Option 4, sir. EEG shows less than 3 Hz spikes.
EEG showing less than 3 Hz spikes and wave discharge. So Lennox-Gastaut, in last class I told that Hrithik Roshan's movie, he would have had head injury. He will become mentally retarded. First part, not Krish. Krish actually is there is a Krish part 2 and all 3. Actually, there was one first movie which came. His father, this Krish's father, his father will meet an accident and actually he will die. Krish will, when he is in mother's womb, will develop head injury and he'll become like an idiot after birth. To remember, he is a
Sir, koi mil gaya.
koi mil gaya, it is a
Yes, sir.
yeah, I actually thought it is koi mil gaya. Okay, let us think it's koi mil gaya. Yeah, that jadoo will become jadoo something. Okay, that's what same movie, na. So here, a typical good here these patients will not have single type, multiple types of seizures they have. That is a bad prognosis actually. Bad prognosis. Single, it is not a single type. Atypical febrile seizure. Atypical febrile seizure. That is not unlikely. It is not atypical febrile seizure. Good prognosis. No, it is not a good prognosis. Then actually these patients will have what is delta type waves. That is frequency is low. Low frequency. I'll come to a little bit of EEG. Next, there are slides on that. These patients will have low frequency EEG. This is the correct answer. We'll go more in here. So, Lennox-Gastaut syndrome occurs in children with and is defined as following triad. There is a triad here. Multiple seizures and EEG showing slow, that is less than 3 Hz, means slow. Frequency is less. Delta wave. Delta wave. Delta, theta, alpha, beta. That's how it goes. I'll come to that. EEG. So EEG is less slower here in Lennox-Gastaut. If EEG becomes slow, I think that they become idiots. Frequency is less, they become less and less. Brain has become less and less useful. More think. Actually, when you sleep, the frequency comes down. Right? When you open your eyes, frequency of the EEG increases. It's not the amplitude. It is speed that matters. Actually, when its frequency comes down, the amplitude of the waves increases better. It's vice versa like that. More or less, it goes like that. Not always, more or less. EEG is slow here. Spike and wave discharges and variety of other abnormalities, impaired cognitive function may be there. So, koi mil gaya bhai. So, Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, this is the EEG. So, if the EEG frequency is down, means think that the patient is not having good intellectual capacity. Something like that. Which drug is suitable for epilepsy-related brain tumor? Levetiracetam, phenytoin, carbamazepine, phenobarbital. How do you treat a patient of brain tumor medically? What do you answer this question? At least I'll come to that. Try now. Which is the drug you want to choose for a brain tumor with epilepsy? Phenytoin? I think so. You have seen your teachers giving phenytoin only. Why you don't answer? Make a guess. Symptomatic treatment, then the section. Okay. What is the symptomatic treatment you want to give? Sukubai. What is the symptom you want to treat? You want to treat epilepsy? Yes, na? Am I correct?
I think it's third option. I'm not sure.
Third option. Good. We'll see. Carbamazepine. Carbamazepine. What is the concern here is in a patient who is being treated for brain tumor, there is a concern of edema. Always edema. There is a edema, raised intracranial tension. Okay, raised intracranial tension. Now, to reduce edema, the neurosurgeons would give them what? Glucocorticoids. They give them steroids. See, the surgeons, neurosurgeons, they would give a lot of steroids to reduce the edema of the brain tumor. That's most of the times they do give it. Now, if you give a drug which induces hepatic enzymes, glucocorticoids metabolism will go up and the effect of glucocorticoids will be less. It will be sort of an interaction which will come in the way of other drugs. Now, because of this, you need to choose a drug which doesn't induce enzymes. So, which are the drugs? Let us see. Should not induce enzymes because of the glucocorticoids which you are giving in a brain tumor patient. Fine. So, levetiracetam, topiramate, lamotrigine, valproic acid, lacosamide, these are drugs which do not induce these hepatic macrosomal enzymes. Whereas phenytoin and carbamazepine they induce. Okay. So avoid them. So go for levetiracetam. That will be the better choice. Okay. Understood now? Following statement about regarding epilepsy, except. So Jacksonian epilepsy is a spreading of seizure activity. Is accept. You have to pick up the wrong choice here. Jacksonian epilepsy is a spreading of seizure activity. Do you agree? What is Jacksonian march? Patient may develop finger movements, then he will start developing whole arm, forearm movement, then later on it goes to the full limb, then the body, it goes to the lower limb, it can cross to the opposite side. That is Jacksonian march. That means there is a spreading of activity. That means it's a correct statement. This is a true statement. Now, serum level of prolactin increases dramatically after tonic-clonic conversions. Do you agree this? Second choice. How many of you agree that the serum prolactin level increases after the? Yes, sir. Now you mean to say yes, sir means you agree or don't agree? Whether serum prolactin level increases or decreases following an tonic-clonic, or you don't know. What is it? You don't know? Shall I take it that way? Okay, I'll take it as we don't know now. We'll come to that. We don't know this. So I'll put this as question mark. We don't know. Changes in memory, perception, blackouts are not part of complex seizures. Yeah, this term, see, it came here, see, the complex partial. That means now we are dealing with a case of focal onset with impaired awareness, complex here. Changes in memory, perception, blackouts are not part of complex seizures. It appears that it is unlikely. More frequent without post-frequent confusion. Do you agree with the last choice? Is it true or false? The last choice. I told you about absence. Typical.
It's
This is
correct,
typical.
sir.
It is true. Huh?
Yes,
This is
sir.
true.
Yes,
It's
sir.
true. And this one is true. And this one is actually doesn't seem. I told you in a focal onset with impaired awareness, there is all this problem, awareness, memory, and all this will be there. So this is actually false. This is the answer. Now this will come to this. Now because you know this, we can take this. Because a patient who is having focal onset with impaired awareness will have memory, perception, blackout, all those things will be there. Will not be aware of the things what is happening. In the past term, it was complex seizures, it was called as. So serum prolactin levels increases dramatically. Actually, this is correct. In fact, a patient who is having a psychological seizures, we can check prolactin increase. If they are increased, we can say it is a true convulsions. If it is not increased, we can say it is a psychological. You can use that this as a test to differentiate psychological seizures from tonic true seizures. Okay, these two I discussed. Okay, I'll go to the next slide. All are used in generalized convulsive status epilepticus except phenobarbital, fosfolphenotide, lorazepam, valproate. What is the answer?
Valproate.
Valproate. You said valproate, Sirisha? Others? Take a guess, na. That will
Lorazepam.
induce brain connections. Lorazepam is not used. Is accept question. Read the question. Because just listening now, it will not wire your brains. In neuronal connection will not get wired. When you stimulate your brain to solve the questions, then your brain wiring will become more stronger. So you will become more fit to solve the questions in exams. Make an attempt. What is wrong in that? Option 1, Kirtana. What is the first option? Phenobarbital. Why do it is no okay? She thinks this is the answer. Somebody said lorazepam. These two. Somebody says this is not used. This is not used. Okay, then wire your brain. Somebody else. Sukubai, you want to take a guess? Raju. Swati Tippana. Yadgiri. Okay, I'll go next. So, see the treatment of status epilepticus is first. Let us know what is status epilepticus before going to treatment. Okay, I'll take a brief class because I did not discuss in the last class. I'll discuss about status epilepticus here. Status epilepticus is refers to continuous seizures, repetitive, discrete seizure, repetitive or discrete seizures without impaired consciousness. Sorry, with sorry. It is a continuous seizure. Patient could be continuously convulsing, or repetitive, coming and going, or a discrete, one or two coming. But in between the two ictus, there is a loss of consciousness. This is something which is very important. A patient who is continuously convulsing is a status epilepticus. Patient who gets convulsions like this continuously repeatedly is also status epilepticus. And a patient who has got two discrete, but LOC, loss of in between, is status epilepticus. That's what it says. The most important thing is this: loss of consciousness during interictal period. That is the most important part of this definition. Okay. Now the status epilepticus is further classified with generalized convulsive status epilepticus, non-convulsive status epilepticus. That means there are no convulsive, that is clonic movements here. In non-convulsive, no clonic movements. Here, the clonic movements are seen. That's what it is. So generalized convulsive status epilepticus, that is persistent generalized electrode, that could be persistent tonic-clonic. Generalized electrographic seizures could be there. These patients can present with coma, or they can have tonic-clonic movements. These patients, how these patients present. Actually, a patient who has got a status epilepticus, if he continues to convulsate over a period of time, the clonic movements become very feeble. Okay, now, little bit of conversion is there, but the most important thing what you have to look is level of consciousness. You have to look. If the patient is having a level of consciousness down, then okay, little bit loss of consciousness is status loss of consciousness. Non-convergent epilepticus means persistent absence, persistent, or focal seizures with the confusion or partially impaired consciousness with a minimal motor abnormalities. These things also can be there. Now, of these two, this one generalized GCSE, due to lot of convulsions, they are prone for metabolic abnormalities. Okay. So, apart from convulsions, GCSE, unlike non-GCSE, these patients are prone for metabolic abnormalities. So, these are more dangerous. They need more aggressive treatment compared to this. Compared to this needs more aggressive treatment. You should know that. Generalized convulsive status epilepticus, they are more bigger emergency than non-convulsive type. Prolonged GCSE may be less obvious. I told you this. First step is management. In any patient with GCSE is always heart and lung, otherwise patient. Then think of anticonvulsant treatment. Take care of his heart is wrong, they are fine. Then think of giving him this, because these patients may aspirate. They can have so many problems. They may have bitten their tongue, they'll be bleeding inside. So many problems can be there. They would have fractured their limbs. All those things you need to think of. Fractured limbs is fine, you can wait. But the cardiovascular things you just see, whether it's bleeding inside the throat, aspirated, cyanosis, if treat that, then treat this with anticonvulsant treatment. How do you give anticonvulsant treatment? There is a protocol. The first drug would be definitely or benzodiazepine, that is lorazepam. So the first drug is lorazepam or midazolam. So lorazepam or midazolam has to be given. Then if no control, then go for anti-epileptic drugs. That is PhD means phenytoin, or valproic acid, or levetiracetam. This is levetiracetam. You can give. Then no control, generalized convulsive. Think of again midazolam or propofol. Propofol is a anti-anesthetic drug. Propofol. So what is it? Is give benzodiazepine, then give phenytoin. Then if no control, build up your midazolam or go for anesthetic drug, that is propofol. That is generalized. If it is focal, go for straight away propofol. That is better choice. Of course, these drugs can be tried. Propofol is the better one. Then if there is no benefit after this, then is phenobarbital. Then you can go for ECT. Here is the ECT here. Hypothermia, ECT here. ECT is there. Hypothermia, all these things. So the advice is to go for first is benzodiazepine, give phenytoin, then give propofol, then give ECT. This is the practical approach. So benzodiazepine, phenytoin, then give propofol. Think of giving phenobarbital, but it is there here, phenobarbital or a thiopentone. These are the then think of ECT, electroconvulsive therapy. Similar to electrocardioversion, we give for heart when a patient develops a ventricular fibrillation, they will try with electroconvulsive therapy for brain. Okay, for heart, when heart is having ventricular fibrillation, what you do is electrical cardioversion. You give a DC shock, reset the complete. Similarly, they will try ECT to stop cessation of convulsion. So the phenobarbital being the last one of all these things, that is the answer, the last try. In fact, it will be better to go thiopentone there. Anyway. How do you treat a patient of ventricular fibrillation? DC shock and you give a shock, na? Similarly, something. What?
So first we generally resuscitate and then we try to give a DC shock, like.
Okay. Resuscitate. Okay. DC shock, ventricular fibrillation. If you are confirmed, hit him first. Okay. Always. If you know it is because you will be pushing his heart, because that is the time you will be buying sister to connect the electrodes. That is the usual thing. Okay. If you can see the VFib there on the monitor, hit him with shock. You can, because getting a defibrillator machine, putting that Xylocade, applying takes some time. That's why you'll be doing CPR. Okay. If everything is in head, give it. Then CPR. You give, then do CPR. Fine. You are asked to do CPR initially because they will be actually arranging that defibrillator. Defibrillator. Okay. So goodbye.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
What is it is when the heart is having a continuous fibrillation, you give a shock. So what happens is whole heart goes into refractory period. There is something called refractory period for the muscles of the heart. Fine. When they go into refractory period, the multiple current which were coming, they will die away, and the sinus node gives it discharge now. That will take over the heart. That is the expected thing to happen. That's the reason we push the heart into complete heart, because refractory period, whatever is its strength, it can be superseded by higher doses of electrical energy. There is a relative refractory period, absolute refractory period. Even absolute, you can break it with the even higher dose. Okay, when higher dose of electrical energy is delivered, the complete heart goes into refractory period. That means all the ventricular fibrillated currents which are flowing inside, they'll die away. They can't fly around, because there is no myocardium for it to send the impulse further. So all these small circuits of ventricular fibrillation which are happening in the heart, they'll die away. Then the sinus node gives an impulse. When the heart has come out of the refractory period, this will take the control. That's what it is. How the mechanism works in case of ventricular fibrillation. Maybe similar thing these neurologists may be trying to do in a patient who is having synchronous epilepsy. Means synchronous, it is synchronous electrical discharge. Normal people have asynchronous electrical discharge. You should know that. So conversion is synchronous, normally asynchronous. Always remember that. It can be an MCQ. Now we'll go to the next question. Lepora's disease. What is Lepora's disease? It was GTCS, myoclonic epilepsy, petit mal epilepsy, partial epilepsy. I know that it is a complex, very rare question. Anyway, I'll give you the answer. Lepora's disease, although called as progressive myoclonic epilepsy, is called. So it is actually autosomal recessive. Lepora's bodies will be there in cytoplasm of cells, heart, liver, muscle, and all that. And as they are in the liver, the glycogen deficiency will be there. Glycogen synthesis will be at fault. This leads to neuronal underdevelopment. Neuronal underdevelopment because glycogen synthesis fault because of the neuronal underdevelopment. Okay, and the patient develops myoclonus epilepsy. They can develop tonic-clonic abscess, all that, but this is more common. And the patient will be in his 20, 25, and within 5 to 10 years, these patients will die. The paresthesia is a rare disease. Any question was asked, that's why I given it here. And it is seen in Asians, I believe. It is compared to Westerners. This Harrison says it is seen in Indian origin, Pakistan, and all that. That's why they must have put that question. Okay. Now, person suffers a seizure on a platform while waiting for train. Imagine Mumbai train. He has a band showing him to be epileptic, and the medicines he takes are in his pocket. They are there now. So what should you do? You are standing there by the side of the patient. In the Mumbai train, he'll be very close to the how they're standing. You can imagine in Mumbai. How many of you have traveled to Mumbai? Have tried traveling in Mumbai trains? How many of you have tried? None. I traveled. Good. I traveled. Okay. Traveled. Fine. And that means you know how it will be. If the train is coming, you definitely have to go near to that platform. Otherwise, you won't be able to enter. That's what. So, a patient, it will be very fast. It will be very difficult. So, this patient, imagine this person is standing there and he starts having convulsions. What you will do? First thing, definitely, everybody will say, take person away from the train. All choices have that. Take person away from the train. Take person away from the train. Okay, this part is agreed. Everybody has to take him away from the train. Take him away from the train. That is good. After that, what you are supposed to do? Make sure he doesn't fall on tracks. Definitely. These two are same only. There's no meaning in that. Fine. Meanwhile, call for medical help and transport to hospital. That means this patient, this person now, he just want to take him away from the train and pick up his phone call to hospital. That's all he's going to do. This guy. This gentleman. Now then the second choice. Take person away from the train. Yes. Stuff a handkerchief in his mouth. Hold his hand and feet till seizures subside. Then transfer him to hospital. This guy. This second person. Mr. A is going to do this. So Mr. B, he wants to put a handkerchief inside the mouth of the patient and hold his limbs so that he should not convulsate. B, Mr. B. Then what is Mr. C is going to do? Let us see. Take person away from the train. Yeah, that is good. Make him lie down and hold his leg up and give him medicines from his and water. Then transfer him to hospital. He wants to hold his limb and all that. Then give him tablet. Then transfer him to hospital. Mr. C. So, okay. Because anyway he has got tablets in his pocket. He can give that. Take person away from the train, give med, water, then transfer to the hospital without limb and all that. So, who is Mr. D, Mr. A, Mr. C, Mr. How many are Mr. A? How many are Mr. B? How many are Mr. or Mrs. C or D? Tell me.
Option D, sir.
Option?
D, last one.
You want to, of course, take him away from the train, give med and water, then transfer. Okay. Then last.
No water, sir, because it may aspirate. Sorry.
But you said you want to give water. You
So
want him
what
to swallow
about
tablet without water.
Okay.
so what about the second option?
Take person away from the train, put handkerchief in patient's mouth, hold his hand and feet till seizure subsides, then transfer him to hospital.
Because
You
we
want to
don't
go
know
for
the dosage of the medicines. Like we might not know like what we know the medicines, but we don't know what to give that time. Like that's
yeah, you are a doctor, you'll be knowing. Let us suppose.
okay. Then third option. Then it's third option. If
Take
considering
person away from the train, make him lie down, hold his leg up. Why you want to hold his leg up? You suspect him having a syncope. Holding leg up is in syncope. Am I correct? Holding
Yes, sir.
patient leg. Huh? When you
Yes, sir.
hold, yeah, that is for syncope. And give him a med, a water, then transfer him to hospital.
No,
See in a
no,
patient.
second option only, sir. Second option. I'll go with second.
So you want to put a handkerchief in patient's mouth? Huh?
Yes, sir. So that
Don't risk your fingers.
he doesn't he will not be asphyxic, and he will not, like, there should be some gap so that he can breathe. Like
It is
we
not
put.
accept that.
I
No,
don't know.
you won't risk your fingers.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
I don't know, sir.
I'll tell you the masseter muscle is a very strong muscle. Okay? Masseter muscle, don't play with it. It is a very strong muscle. If it bites, it will tear up anything. Hmm? So never ever try to put anything in patient's mouth. Never try. We have seen patients breaking the wooden and what happens is, imagine you forget handkerchief. Some people put spoons, key bunch. They can, the patient may tear his palate with that. Hard palate. That can happen. They may injure. In fact, in the view of protecting his tongue, you will injure his palate also. Tongue will also go, palate will also go. And handkerchief, you may go into his firing and choke him to death. Never push anything in patient's mouth. Leave him alone. You can't save his tongue. Okay. Yeah, you can handle it later. Never, and holding limb and all this is a foolish thing, because conversion is coming from central discharge. And by holding his limb and tightly, his bones may break. Never do this. Avoid this. This is the most dangerous thing. Okay. This point is holding a leg up is good for syncope. Anyway, you may give a choice. Maybe patient has got syncope, not convulsion. Fine. But in such an event, giving water and med and will be risky. You never know what is the real problem. Anyway, giving the choice here, the sensible person is this. Take him away from the train, send him to hospital, let that hospital person manage him, because everything has to work out properly. Because your oral tablet will not save the patient. Okay, one conversion the patient had, one more tablet if you give, it will take a lot of time to reach his brain and stop it converting. Okay, if it is IV injection, something different, your tablets will not work that fast, and you are risking the patient with aspiration, this, that, all complication and legal issues later for you. Fine. Okay. Got it.
Okay, sir.
So send him to hospital. Tablets won't act that fast also.
Yes, sir.
Now, drug of choice in a GTCS. That means DOC means drug of choice. GTCS means generalized tonic convulsions in pregnancy. Which are safer drugs? They are asking you. Lamotrigine, carbamazepine, levetiracetam, and valproic acid. Valproic acid is very dangerous. Neural tope deficits.
Lamotrigine.
Lamotrigine is safer. Good, very good. Lamotrigine is safer drug. Carbamazepine is less. Levetiracetam is also not that. Valproic acid. So, especially the patient is come in a second trimester, you have little choice. First trimester or before the pregnancy onset, if the patient has come, then what you do is, the patient, if it is on valproic acid, slowly taper valproic acid, put the patient on lamotrigine, then allow the patient to go for pregnancy. That is a good way. So this is a better choice. I think so. I have a question on this. So I said lamotrigine is what is lamotrigine drug? Is a phenyl triazine class epilepsy, and it is used for treating epilepsy and also mood stabilizer, especially in bipolar disorders. Lithium. Apart from after lithium, this can be used, lamotrigine. It's not only for epilepsy. Even for neuropathic pains, this lamotrigine is being used these days. In pain clinics, some anesthetists are prescribing it. Okay. Side effects do not require. There are fewer side effects. Sorry, it is fewer side effects. So it doesn't require laboratory monitoring. indicated in partial scissors, primary generalized tonic scissors, generalized scissors due to this one. See here, Genox, koi mil gaya. Huh? Conversion to drug monotherapy from carbamazepine after. Yeah, if you want to conversion to drug monotherapy, if the patient is on carbamazepine, if you want to go for monotherapy, this can be done. This drug can be used. Overdose can cause ataxia, nystagmus, increased seizure also can happen, decreased level of consciousness, coma, and this one is the one thing we should keep in mind. Interventricular delay. If the patient has got AV block, what is AV block I'm talking about? Tell me. AV nodal block. Huh? This is the heart. Sinus
The
node is here.
impulses are not
AV,
transferred from sinoatrial node to the AV node.
yeah. Then it comes to bundle of his here. Then there's a left bundle, right bundle to the ventricle. This if there's a block here, decreased conduction. If you give this lamotrigine, patient may go for heart block. So you check his ECG before giving lamotrigine. Check for PR interval. I think so. I have a video on ECG classes. You just go through that. There is a video uploaded in the YouTube. You can see that. Hmm? Hmm? In EEG, which type of waves is seen in metabolic encephalopathy? Alpha, beta, gamma, delta. Which one? Which one? So when they say like this, now it is severe form. Actually, you could have put it as
Delta gamma.
delta. Yeah, delta. I told you, delta is a slow. Then is theta. See, I'll put it this way. Delta 3 to 5 hertz per. Then comes theta. Theta is 5 to 7. Gamma, there is no gamma. I don't know from where gamma has come. Then delta, theta, then alpha. Alpha is 7 to 13 hertz. And beta is more than 14 or 13. So slowest is delta, fastest is beta. So when you're awake, you are beta. When you're slow, when you're sleeping, you are delta. So metabolic encephalopathy in coma means delta. Okay. I'll show the slides on that. Now, EEG waves are delta, theta, alpha, beta. So we'll go individually each waves. Delta, I said this is the slowest. It is just 3 waves, 3 hertz. It is because slow but high amplitude, jumping around a lot. High amplitude. Dominant rhythm in the infants up to 1 year. And stage 3 and stage 4 of sleep waves. Sleep, you get a delta. Deep sleep, now you get a delta. Focally, it is seen in subcortical lesions also. Generalized distribution in the metabolic encephalopathy. See here, hydrocephalus, deep midlands lesions, it can be seen. It is usually most prominent in, these are some syndromes are there. Freda, forget about them. Theta. Then theta is the next fast. After delta, there is a theta, 3.5 to 7.5. Then normal in children up to 13 years. In sleep, abnormal in awake patients. If it is awake adults, now if theta is seen, you think that person is sleeping. Okay. Focal subcortical lesion, metabolic encephalopathy, hydrocephalus, also can be seen. Alpha, next fast, 7.5 to 13. Something like you can say delta is a subsonic. Then this is we'll call it a sonic. That is supersonic. This is hypersonic. I don't know what is hypersonic. I'm just calling because of a Raphael. Theta is next 3 to 5, 3 to 7. Then the alpha is 7.5, 3 to 13. Then beta is 14. 14. Of course, these benzodiazepines induce beta waves. That's why the sleep is, even after taking benzodiazepines, the person, even if he sleeps, they don't get NREM sleep, good nice sleep. They still feel irritable. Hmm? That's why benzodiazepine induced sleep is not very comfortable one. Hmm? So in metabolic encephalopathy, as the severity of the encephalopathy increased, the frequency of the waves decreases. Of course, that means beta to alpha, alpha to theta, then to delta. It goes like this. Deep coma is a high amplitude but low frequency. Further, if it's down, then in fact even amplitude also go. Almost like flat line. Deep coma, very deep. So here, this is the question at this level. High amplitude but low frequency is delta wave. Juvenile myoclonic epilepsy, most common presentation. Tell me, juvenile myoclonic epilepsy. You should answer now. There is a question and a choice here. There is a juvenile myoclonic epilepsy and myoclonic should be the common presentation. You expect GDCS, you expect this, you expect this only. This can be there, but this is the common presentation. So juvenile myoclonic epilepsy onset in early adolescence, bilateral myoclonus mostly see morning after awakening. It is not during sleep. Juvenile myoclonic epilepsy is after awakening. It is. Consciousness is preserved unless it is very severe. In future, they may develop this GDCS. Family history of polygenic inheritance. That could be family history, and it is a polygenic inheritance. First line of drug is valproate, followed by lamotrigine or topiramate. Second line is clonazepam or felbamate. Carbamazepine and phenytoin may exaggerate. Don't use these drugs. Carbamazepine and phenytoin in juvenile myoclonic epilepsy. They can worsen. A neurosurgeon in the parent-teacher meeting saw a child with precocious puberty and uncontrollable laughing. He suggests the parent of the child to get MRI done for the possibility of hypothalamic hematoma, penile germinoma, pituitary adenoma, and craniopharyngioma. Anybody can take this answer?
Option 3, adenoma.
Pituitary,
What?
pituitary adenoma.
Pituitary adenoma.
I didn't get
Pituitary. Third one.
pituitary adenoma.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then anybody? See, the precocious puberty is precocious puberty. Commonest cause is this actually, hypothalamic hematoma. Okay, precocious puberty has to be there. So actually, puberty is actually prevented by the brain. Otherwise, people will get puberty. It is inhibition is there. When that inhibition is lost, puberty happens. That's how it is. Okay, due to this hypothalamic hematoma, this inhibition is lost, and patient becomes precocious puberty. And they can, these patients, hypothalamic puberty, they can develop gelastic epilepsy. That is excessive laughing, nothing but laughing. Gelastic epilepsy. I'll come to that. I got slides on that. Hypothalamic hematoma, most common cause of brain's precocious puberty. And they have diabetes insipidus and hyperthermia, unnatural crying and laughing, that is gelastic seizures. They can develop, either they can be obese or cachexic, stereotactic radiation and GNRS to prevent for that hematoma. This is there. Then GNRH for precocious puberty. That is a treatment. 29-year-old. Then I think so there is one more. This is the last question, I believe. Last question. I'll just finish this. 29-year-old, 4-month pregnant Prami Gowda has history of juvenile myoclonic epilepsy. She has been on regular taking her sodium valproate. Now she is seeking opinion for her anti-epileptic treatment. I told you the answer in previously. You can answer this now. What would you suggest her? She is in 4th month. She is in 4th month of pregnancy now. Immediately taper valproate and start lamotrigine. Sorry. So you want to stop
First
when
one.
this is a safe drug. But this patient is in fourth month. Continue valproate with monitoring drug level. Switch to carbamazepine. Add lamotrigine to valproate. So you want to stop that. Yeah, that could have been, but if the patient had come in the first month or even before getting pregnant, this was better choice. This is lamotrigine. But this patient has come very late. What all damage valproate can cause would have already caused. So risking this patient's withdrawal seizures, it doesn't appear sensible. Now leave her alone. Let her continue, because she has presented late. Okay. Teratogenic effect of antibiotic congenital heart disease. So valproic acid this can cause these things. Neural tube defects. Valproic acid also with higher teratogenic effects like dental anomalies, facial dysmorphism. So lamotrigine is safer. Because this patient has come late, there is no point in changing drug. It is less useful and risky for the patient. So that's all today. If you want to ask any doubts, you can ask. Did it take too long? Yeah, it took 1.5 hours. Sorry. I say, but I only delay you people most. Any questions you want to ask, you ask now. Anything?